When you think about it, God was the first engineer. Genesis 1:1 states that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The whole story in the first chapter of Genesis, God is obviously the creator of time and space and all beings. When God creates humans, we are made in his image. So if God is a creative being and we are made in his image, then we are also meant to create. Then God says in Genesis 1:28, a verse that people often quote, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it." You may have also heard this phrase, "have dominion over it." So what do you think of when you hear dominion? Do you think of power, authority? Do you think dominion allows you to do whatever you want to do? God wants us to work in the garden. He wants us to create like he did. But that's the key to knowing what dominion means. Because we are created in his image and we are called to rule and have dominion over the earth like God. So we do not have permission to do whatever we want because that's not what dominion means. We have permission to bring glory to God in our creation. Now, engineering may sound scary to some of us, but really it's just a fancy word for problem solving. And to solve problems, we need to create. So once upon a time, people walked around barefoot, but their feet were too exposed to the elements, so they created something that had never been made before: shoes. Have you ever created a solution to a problem? The problem could be as simple as trying to get a piece of bread out of the toaster without burning yourself. Solving even the most simple of problems makes you an engineer, made in the image of your Father God, the original engineer. Today we are learning about the engineering design process. This is a step-by-step process to guide us in solving problems. You will practice the steps of this process many times throughout the semester. Now we're going to watch the taco party video to learn how the engineering design process can be used for something as simple as making dinner for some friends.
The engineering design process is a lot like making tacos. Here's how. Let's say you've had a long day. Maybe you've gone to class. Maybe you just got off work. Maybe you just finished an intense workout session. It's now 7 o'clock and you're hungry, but you've got friends coming over in half an hour. So, what do? You go through the engineering design process. First, you define a problem or need. In this case, the problem is you're hungry and you've got people coming over in half an hour, and they might be hungry too. Next, you do some research to figure out the design requirements and your limitations. So in this case, you'd assess things like ingredients you have at hand, money you've got to spend, how much time you have before people start showing up, how many people you have to feed, and if any of those people have dietary restrictions. Once you've got a pretty solid list of criteria and constraints, you can start brainstorming ideas for solutions. Maybe you look online at nearby food options. Then, maybe you go to the fridge and you start figuring out what you could make. You weigh your options and you determine making something at home will be cheaper and faster than ordering something online. And you decide everyone likes PB&J, but you don't have gluten-free bread.
Oh.
But you do have corn tortillas.
I guess I'll try PB&J on corn tortillas.
And you make a prototype. You test it out and take a bite. It's gross. But you want to make sure it's not just you, so you get others to test it out, like your roommates or family. Everyone agrees. It's gross. You ask questions and determine what's gross about it. In this case, your testers like the tortillas, but not so much the PB&J. So you go back to the kitchen and reassess. This is what engineers call iterating, making changes based on test and user feedback. You realize,
I've got ingredients for tacos? Dope!
So you start making some veggie tacos. You try one and think,
This is kinda dry.
You have other people try it to get their feedback. Most people agree.
It's kind of dry.
So you go back to your kitchen and start iterating again. You find that you've got the ingredients to make guacamole. You make the guac and you add it to the tacos. You test it out and you're like,
This is tasting pretty good.
but some of the other testers think,
It could use some spice.
So you evaluate their feedback, you look in your kitchen, and you realize you don't have anything spicy. That's when you call your friend Sam who's coming over. And you're like,
Hey Sam, Can you bring over some hot sauce? I'm making tacos.
And Sam's like,
Sure.
also,
I love tacos.
it's now 7:30 and your friends start showing up. You tell your friends,
I made tacos if you're hungry. You can add hot sauce if you want.
and then you and your friends eat the tacos. They're like,
These are pretty good. I'm gonna Instagram that.
You should share the recipe online.
so you do. You've solved your hunger problem and engineered a taco party.
So if you Google the engineering design process, you may find some different variations, but they are all based on the same ideas. The steps to the Valley Christian School's engineering design process are ask, imagine, plan, create, test, improve, and share. This week we are going to start our first group project. Now I know group projects can be a little bit scary to some people, maybe give some people a bad taste in their mouths, but it's important to remember that for this class, you are graded on participation and teamwork, not the outcome of your experiment. So there are a few things you should keep in mind. Let me speak first to the type A students who always want to have 100% in every class. To those students, you are being graded on teamwork. So this means you may not be overbearing and insist on doing things your way. You should be open to hearing others' ideas and ensure that your whole team feels included. Your participation grade will be based on these factors. To the students who like group projects because they think that means they don't have to do anything, you are being graded on participation. This means that even if your project turns out great, but you contributed pretty much nothing to it, then you will still receive a poor participation grade. With that in mind, you should open Canvas to today's date where we have all of the information that you need. I want you to go ahead and open and download the 5-Chair Challenge project charter. You will want to make sure that you save a copy so that you can edit it because you will be turning this in later. Also on Canvas, you will be finding your client. This is who you are going to be making a chair for in our 5-Chair Challenge. There are various Simpsons characters that are looking for different chairs based on their needs. Take the time now to go onto Canvas, open that 5-Chair Challenge project charter, because we are going to be stepping through some things that we're going to be working on today. So make sure that you go on, make sure you push that save a copy when you open it in Word so that you're able to edit it. All right, so a project charter is just a document that explains the expectations for a project. The group project we are about to begin is called the 5 chair challenge because your group will be making 5 different chairs. Each group will be making chairs to meet the needs of your client, the Simpsons character. Each group has a different client, or rather there are 5 different clients that are dispersed among the groups. Make sure that you have your project charter open and follow along. In the first box of your project charter, you will want to list some of your client's needs. This means, what is your client looking for in a chair? For example, Lisa is a marathon runner. One of her needs could be that she needs a place to rest her feet. So I want you to go through and read your client very carefully. Identify 4 needs for your client based on the description that you are looking at, and write those in that box on your project charter. The next box considers the stakeholders. This refers to people who have an interest or concern in this chair making business. When the project charter asks who will use the product, it refers to more than just the Simpsons character. Now let's think about Grandpa who needs a chair that's easy to get in and out of. Of course he will use the product because that's who we're building a chair for. But let's be more general. For example, we could say elderly people or people with physical ailments. For the next question, who will benefit from the product, you should not put your Simpsons character here. Think about who else would benefit from the product. For example, imagine how happy Grandpa's family would be if they didn't have to worry about him falling when he was getting in and out of his chair. The next box considers the criteria and constraints. In the left side of this box, I want you to write another word for constraints. Go ahead, look it up on Google, use a thesaurus, but I want you to write another word for constraints on the left side of that box. In the right half of this box, you should write the following constraints: time and materials. Those are going to be the constraints that we're working with during this project. When we're in the business of making chairs, it's important to consider what solutions already exist for your client. And so for the purpose of this experiment, we are going to say that the only chairs that exist in the entire world that your client could buy is the one that you're sitting in right now. I think we can all agree that these chairs are just a little bit less than ideal. They're probably small, not comfortable. Girls' hair gets stuck in the back. So I want you to write down why these chairs are not good for your client. All right, so the way this project is going to work is you guys are going to have one day in class where your group will make all 5 chairs. The teacher is going to give you specific materials, and you will also be limited on time. Your goal is going to be to create a chair for your client that is better than the one that already exists. So the last box discusses the deliverables for this project. Deliverables are just items that you have to complete by the end of the project. You will eventually be documenting your process in an engineering design notebook, and you will also be creating a PowerPoint presentation that includes how you use the engineering design process. At this point, your project charter should be close to complete. Make sure that it is saved because you will need to turn it in at a later time, and there are a few more things that we need to look at. If you have any questions about the project charter, feel free to rewatch portions of this video and ask your teacher. All right, guys, so for the next thing, we are going to take a step back from our 5-chair challenge. You will be having time to work on this in the future, so don't panic if you haven't finished your worksheet. But we are going to move into a team building activity. So team building activities are super fun, and I think it really promotes the core of what this class is trying to teach you. So let's see what we're going to have to do today. So the team building activity that we are going to do today is called the helium stick activity. So I'm going to explain it to you first, and then we will also watch a video so that hopefully you guys are going to be absolute pros when you try this for the first time on your own. So you are going to line up in 2 rows to face each other, and you are going to stick out your arms and have your index fingers pointing out, and then I'm going to lay down like a yard or meter stick on your index fingers, and everyone in the group, everyone's index fingers have to touch the yardstick, okay? And both of their index fingers must touch the yardstick. You can only hold up the yardstick from the bottom, so you cannot pinch or grab or scoop or anything like that. You can only have your index fingers touching the yardstick from the bottom, and everyone has to keep their index fingers in contact with the yardstick at all times. So you cannot pull your fingers off the yardstick. If you lose contact with the yardstick, then you have lost, and you should retry. So the way this is going to look like is this. Okay, so hopefully when you take a look at this picture, you can kind of understand the layout. They're using like a tent pole or something like that, but I'm going to give you a yardstick just because we're going to have you in groups of like 4 people. So this is what it's going to look like in terms of where you stand, how you hold up the yardstick. So what is the catch? Why is this so difficult? So the catch is that it really doesn't take all, in this case there are 5 people in the group, it doesn't take all 5 of them to hold up the tent pole. And so it tends to float, not actually float, but people tend to push it up because they want to make sure that their fingers are staying in contact with the stick that they're actually supposed to be lowering. So because your fingers are not allowed to leave the yardstick or the tent pole, it actually has a tendency to move up because you guys are trying to stay in contact. So the goal is to lower it without anyone losing contact with the yardstick. So this is a really fun team building activity because people are going to have all sorts of responses. So as the stick starts to rise or it's not lowering, you're going to have people who accuse each other and be like, well, why aren't you pulling it down? And why aren't you lowering it? And how come we can't do this? And what is something else that we can do? And so I'm going to show you guys a video of what this can look like in a team setting and how frustrating it can be, so that hopefully you guys can see it, learn from their mistakes, and then do it perfectly when it's your turn.
Five people. All right, so we're gonna do something that is all about teamwork. The goal of this exercise is to get a stick to the ground. So you have to hold the stick at all times with both of your fingers, have to always be touching it, okay? Under it, like this. All right, stop. All right, wait. Stop. I haven't even explained it. The goal is this has to touch the ground, but no one can take their fingers off the stick. If I see someone take their fingers off, we restart. Stop! Here we go. We're gonna start in 3, 2, 1.
Everyone relax.
Okay, down, going down, and down.
Hey, down, stop doing up.
Hold it, say nothing.
Okay. It's down, left wrist.
It's always pushing.
Wait, I think it's gonna do.
He's showing us.
Down.
Hold it. Keep those fingers touching. Oh, we're making progress.
Keep it going.
What is happening right now?
We're doing a team building activity.
I see that.
3, 2,
1, down. Okay. Down? Can you guys go down?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's most of the work is you and closer. You guys have to do it. Okay.
You guys. How's this a team bonding exercise? All it does is make me pissed off my teammates.
Down. How long it has to be?
You're going
Wait, don't do this. Stop this.
Yo! Hey, what's going on?
You guys started butts. Okay, I want to do here.
Yeah, you go outside.
You guys all go in the middle, and then
Hey,
two
go.
people. You guys just keep your fingers up.
Please. Yeah. It's not
That's my side.
Please.
Alright. Let's 3, 2, 1, down. Down. Come on, just go down. It's not that hard. Come on. You only have to put your fingers down, guys.
It's all about teamwork.
I don't think we're smart enough for this.
They've already done better than the coaches did.
I don't want to talk about that.
Let it drop. Go down. Let it drop. 2, 1, down. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Alright, Dylan's not ready. Alright, Dylan. 3, 2, 1. Down. Bring it down. Okay. Keep bringing it. You can do this. Come on. I'm over it. I'm tired. I'm not holding it. Bring it down.
What are you talking about? Not holding it, I'm telling you! It's you guys in the middle!
Trail, put it down! Yeah, I'm telling you, it's most of the work is you and closer.
It's you guys in the middle! Wait, this side again in the middle. In 3, 2, 1, down.
My fingers are touching the ground.
What?
Alright. Put your fingers toward the ground.
Go.
My fingers are touching.
Easy class.
If you want to know what this